Imagine waking up 4 times every night for the next 20 years. That's over 29,000 interrupted nights. Shocking? That's exactly what millions of seniors endure because of one critical mistake they made decades ago. And most don't even realize it's happening. It's 2:13 in the morning. A man in his late 60s sits at the edge of his bed, staring into the dark. The room is silent, except for the soft ticking of a clock on the wall. His body aches from exhaustion. His mind races with frustration. He's been up 3 times already tonight. Each time, the same torturous routine, the sudden jolt awake, the painful shuffle to the bathroom with joints protesting every step, then the maddening fight to fall asleep again. The darkness feels endless. He doesn't know why it's happening. But here's the devastating truth, hiding in plain sight. It may all come down to one mistake, one he made decades ago, and had no idea would ambush him in his golden years. For millions of older adults, waking up to pee at night, what doctors clinically refer to as nocturia, is far more than just an annoying inconvenience. It systematically destroys quality sleep, ravages memory function, causes crippling daytime exhaustion, and dramatically increases the risk of potentially life-altering falls in the darkness. But what most people fail to realize is that it's rarely about a weak bladder at all. According to extensive research from the National Institute on Aging and groundbreaking studies published in prestigious journals like the Mayo Clinic Proceedings, the real culprit often begins its silent work decades earlier, in ways most people have never connected to those midnight bathroom pilgrimages. Would you believe that your dinner choices at age 40 could determine whether you sleep through the night at age 70? The science now proves this shocking connection. One of the biggest overlooked villains in this health crisis? Salt. Not sugar, not caffeine, not alcohol. Salt. A revolutionary 2017 study from Nagasaki University in Japan discovered something that turned conventional medical wisdom upside down. Older adults who reduced their daily salt intake from 10.7 grams to about 8 grams experienced a dramatic reduction in nighttime bathroom trips, just from lowering salt. This simple dietary change proved more effective than expensive medication, more impactful than prescription sleep aids, more powerful than any supplement on the market. Salt intake was directly and causally linked to how frequently they were forced awake to urinate. This may sound deceptively simple, perhaps even trivial, but the consequences are anything but minor. Night after night, this chronic sleep deprivation methodically chips away at cognitive function, emotional stability, and cardiovascular health. Have you ever wondered why you can drink the same amount of fluid all day, but it's only at night that your bladder seems to fill to bursting? Here's the physiological reality most doctors never explain. Why does salt wreak such havoc on your sleep? The mechanism is fascinating and alarming. Salt forces your body to retain water through a complex hormonal cascade. That excess fluid accumulates throughout the day, especially pooling in your legs and ankles where gravity pulls it down. When you finally lie down at night, that gravitational force disappears. Suddenly, all that stored fluid re-enters your bloodstream. Your kidneys detect this flood and respond the only way they know how, by filtering it out as urine. That's what ruthlessly drags you from the depths of restorative deep sleep, over and over again. It's not an aging bladder failing you. It's literally a day's worth of fluid retention, triggered directly by what was on your dinner plate 5 hours earlier. And here's where it gets even more insidious. It's not just how much salt you consume, it's also precisely when you eat it. Late-night dinners heavily loaded with sodium, like that seemingly innocent pizza, those convenient processed meats, or even that restaurant meal you didn't realize was salt-laden, act like metabolic time bombs in your system. They methodically trigger your body's drainage mechanisms exactly when you're trying to achieve your deepest sleep. That's why countless people with nocturia have discovered they sleep dramatically better, not just by reducing salt overall, but by strategically moving their higher sodium foods to earlier in the day. This timing effect is so powerful that researchers from the International Continence Society now believe it outperforms nearly every over-the-counter sleep supplement being marketed to seniors today. But here's the truth they don't tell you on those pill bottles. No sleep aid can overcome what your salt shaker is doing to your kidneys. Yet salt isn't the only mistake silently sabotaging senior sleep. There's a dangerous myth many healthcare providers once accepted as fact, that increased nighttime urination is simply an inevitable consequence of aging. But in 2021, a landmark study published in the prestigious journal Sleep shattered this misconception. Researchers discovered that one of the strongest correlations to nighttime urination was actually undiagnosed sleep apnea. Yes, sleep apnea, not mere snoring, but those frightening pauses in breathing during sleep, triggers a cascading hormonal reaction that directly signals the kidneys to produce more urine. That means, for thousands of older adults who wake up night after night to use the bathroom, the root problem might be in their respiratory system, not their urinary tract at all. And the most terrifying part? Most don't even suspect they have this condition slowly destroying their sleep quality. Did you know that the medication keeping your heart healthy might be the exact reason you can't make it through the night without a bathroom trip? The complexity deepens further. Medications prescribed for hypertension, extraordinarily common among seniors, frequently function as diuretics, pharmaceutical agents specifically designed to expel excess fluid from your body. That's beneficial during waking hours. But if these medications are taken too late in the day, they continue their potent effects throughout the night. The result is predictable, but rarely discussed. They force you from your bed to the toilet while your body desperately tries to achieve the restorative sleep it needs for cellular repair. Some forward-thinking physicians now explicitly advise patients to avoid these medications after 4 p.m. But tragically, few patients recall this critical detail from their medical consultations, because almost no one makes the vital connection between blood pressure medications and disrupted sleep due to nighttime urination. Here's a shocking revelation that should change how we think about senior health. Your emotional state might be causing your bladder issues, not the other way around. Still, there's an even more profound layer to this sleep disruption puzzle. Loneliness and chronic anxiety play a hidden yet devastating role in nighttime waking. A groundbreaking 2020 analysis conducted by Harvard researchers uncovered that seniors who reported experiencing social isolation or persistent anxiety suffered significantly more sleep interruptions, including those specifically for urination. Chronic stress elevates levels of the hormone cortisol, which affects not just brain function, but also directly impacts bladder sensitivity and kidney function. In essence, for those who live alone or struggle with persistent anxiety, nighttime bathroom trips can become a vicious, self-reinforcing cycle. Emotional distress disrupts sleep architecture. Compromised sleep worsens emotional regulation. And the body, trapped in this destructive spiral, increasingly fails to maintain normal physiological rhythms. Have you considered that the emptiness of your social calendar might be directly causing the fullness of your bladder at night? So what's the solution to this silent epidemic, destroying the sleep of an entire generation? First, it requires a fundamental paradigm shift in how we conceptualize health in older age. Simple, targeted interventions, such as methodically reducing sodium intake, screening for undiagnosed sleep apnea, strategically timing medication administration, and actively addressing social isolation and anxiety often produce dramatically more positive outcomes than expensive high-tech sleep aids or pharmaceutical interventions. According to comprehensive clinical data from the Cleveland Clinic, many patients experience remarkable improvement in just 2 weeks after implementing these evidence-based changes. But perhaps the most heartbreaking aspect of this entire situation is this. The vast majority of these individuals endured years or even decades of disrupted sleep, while mistakenly believing their nighttime waking was simply an inevitable consequence of the aging process. It wasn't. It never was. The most dangerous belief in senior health might be that poor sleep is normal. It's not just robbing you of rest, it's stealing years from your life. And that brings us full circle to the exhausted man sitting on the edge of his bed at 2:13 a.m. He's not weak. He's not fundamentally broken. He's not even experiencing normal aging. He's simply living with the consequences of a hidden chain of physiological effects that most healthcare providers never adequately explain. The one critical mistake, the one thread connecting it all, was believing the nighttime waking was simply inevitable, that it had no identifiable cause, no practical solution. But in reality, the body whispers long before it screams. And sometimes, the most transformative change comes from the simplest decision. In this case, simply choosing to skip the salt shaker at dinner tonight. Now, imagine if he had known all this 20 years ago. How many thousands of hours of precious sleep he might have preserved. How many mornings would feel vibrant and full of possibility again, rather than foggy and depleted. And how many fewer nights he'd spend in that lonely darkness, counting the endless minutes until the next bathroom light switches on, illuminating not just the hallway, but the profound connection between what we consume and how we live in our later years. The tragedy isn't just that millions of seniors lose sleep every night. The real tragedy is that most of them could fix it with information that's been hidden in plain sight all along.